Over the last 20 years, I've helped well over 10,000 women who've been struggling with their menstrual cycles and their fertility. Let's talk about period myths. You know, the kind where you might be thinking that if you're having your period, you shouldn't swim in the ocean because you have a greater likelihood of shark attacks. Some of these are harmless, and some of them are really funny, but what they do is prevent us from having understanding about how our bodies work.
Not as just cramps. I feel like there's more to it.
Mood changes and body changes. I guess cramps are part of it though. That's a tough one.
I'd say the PMS causes the cramps.
True, I believe that PMS is manifesting cramps.
I can't tell you how many women I have talked to in the last 20 years that have said, oh, I don't have PMS. And I say to them, oh, okay, you don't have breast tenderness, bloating, fatigue, insomnia, anxiety, mood changes, depression. And what they usually say to me is, no, I have all of those. Those are actually the symptoms that are related to PMS. PMS is what happens before your period. What happens during your period is typically cramping and pain. And those are separate issues. They both tell us different pieces of information and can be addressed in different ways.
True, just because it feels like your body eventually will regulate itself over time.
False. I think it gets less frequent.
Can I get a helpline for this one?
False. I feel like it just depends on what else is going on in your life.
Younger women think, gosh, if I can just make it a little bit longer, as I'm aging, my period's gonna get better. And the reality is, the sad reality is that it doesn't get better. Actually, when you turn about 35, you start entering into early menopause, which we call perimenopause. And your cycle actually gets very disrupted again. So what can happen is you can start having longer cycles or shorter cycles. Typically, women will have increased amount of PMS. In fact, the highest incidence of PMS is between 35 and until you have menopause. And so this is the time when you're entering into perimenopause, when you have that dysregulated cycle, that we have to really pay attention to those signals and address those underlying problems.
False, not only women have periods.
False. False. Because transgender people have periods.
Not everybody who has a menstrual cycle identifies as a female. And so I always use the term people with periods because that's inclusive of everything. But also what's important is there are many women who are younger or older who also don't have periods. So we can't assume that someone who is a girl or a woman actually has a period because they might or they might not.
True.
I don't know if there's ever, even I guess through menopause, I guess you could still get pregnant, but I don't know if it prevents it. I don't know what menopause is exactly.
True?
That's true. I'm pretty sure it goes away altogether, right?
I'm actually not surprised that nobody got this question right because almost everybody assumes that the younger you are, the more likely you are to get pregnant, which that can be true. But what I really want to get clarity about is that the likelihood of unplanned pregnancy. Today, the research shows that the highest risk for unplanned pregnancy is 45 years old. The reason for that is that the woman has gone pretty deeply into perimenopause. Like we talked about before, her cycle has really started changing. She's starting to believe that there's a very low chance that I get pregnant, and so she stops using any kind of birth control, whether that's oral contraceptives or an IUD or even condoms, and then they have a surprise baby.